senior member of the International Relations Committee, and I've also been very much involved in the writing of a number of human rights laws over the years, including the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000, 2003, and 2005, and a number of other bills and laws dealing with religious freedom and other human rights concerns, which is exactly what brings us together here today. This week marks the commemoration of two tragic events: the abductions of Erica Toland in Japan in 2003 and Sean Goldman to Brazil in 2004. David Goldman and Paul Toland are here today along with some of the other left behind parents who you will meet shortly. Sadly, as you can see, these left behind parents are not alone. As we speak, more than 1,900 American parents wait and wait and wait for their abducted child, for their kidnapped child to be returned to them. Over 2,800 American children are being held in foreign countries against the wishes of their American parent. Most of these cases have been dragging on for years of a loving relationship and happy memories that these parents will never get back, even if they do, God willing, get to see their child again. Abducted children lose their relationship with their mom or their dad, half of their identity, half of their culture. These kids are at risk of serious emotional and psychological problems and have been found to experience anxiety, eating disorders, nightmares, mood swings, sleep disturbances, aggressive behavior, resentment, guilt, and fearfulness. And as adults, many actually struggle with identity issues, their own personal relationships, as well as parenting. This has been documented. This is the terrible consequences of child kidnapping. International child abduction violates the human rights of the left behind parent and the human rights of the child to know, to love, and to be with their parent. Sadly, international child abductions are on the increase. Just last year, the caseload increased 40%. In the last 3 years, reported international child abductions have increased 60%. In my 29 years of Congress and work in writing dozens of human rights laws, I've always noticed that everybody opposes human rights violations until you ask them to do something about it. And especially when you ask them to do something that has real teeth. The bill that I am introducing today, along with several co-sponsors, is a bipartisan piece of legislation, is known as the International Child Abduction Prevention Act of 2009. It empowers the United States to more aggressively pursue the resolution of abduction cases. No more excuses. Our current system is not working. Cases languish open for years. Under the new law, when a country has shown what we will call a pattern of non-cooperation in resolving child abduction cases, the President will be able to underscore with very specific actions our seriousness and resolve about the right of children to have a relationship with both parents. The actions range from behind-the-scene admonitions to suspension of U.S. development assistance to that country, to economic incentives like the withdrawing of trade benefits and prohibitions on loans. This new law will also create the position of what we call the Ambassador at Large for International Child Abduction, to head an expanded office working to resolve international abductions. The time for words has passed. Our current system is not doing justice for parents who are left behind, or for the children who have been whisked away from their mom or dad. We must make clear and take clear action. The International Child Abduction Prevention Act of 2009 offers us a new way forward and hope for the left behind parents. I would like to introduce you to Congressman Frank Wolf, who is here with us. Frank is one of the co-sponsors. He's the ranking member, former chairman of the Appropriations Committee dealing with the State Department, and has for years been a leader in human rights. He too was elected, as was I, in 1980. And Frank is the prime sponsor of a bill known as the International Religious Freedom Act, legislation that we worked closely on together. I was chairman of the Human Rights Committee at the time, and many of the specific penalties, including the establishment of an ambassador-at-large position, is derived from the model of the International Religious Freedom Act, something that has worked over the last decade to promote and to encourage respect for all people's right of conscience and for religious freedom. I'd like to introduce Congressman Frank.
Well, I'll just be very brief. I just wanted to come here in support of Congressman Smith's bill. I think the work that Chris has done with the Goldman family down in Brazil demonstrates the need for this bill. There are times that our government has not been very forceful in speaking out with regard. So by modeling this on the commission, I just want to be here to tell Chris I'll do everything we can to help to pass this bill. Thank you.
Let me introduce you first to David Goldman. David Goldman, and this is the week that we remember, commemorate, and with great sadness, the fact that his son, Sean, was abducted to Brazil. That's why we were meeting today. David has been one of the most remarkable men I have ever met. He has shown no malice whatsoever to a family, to an abductor. His wife, as you know, his former wife, has passed away. So a man who is not the father has custody in Brazil of his son. I was there in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, in February, when he met his son, got reacquainted with his son for the first time in 4.5 years. The bond was overwhelming between the two. The love, the sense of togetherness between the two was clear and unmistakable. And yet today, he is still not allowed to have the custody, which is his right as a parent and his son's right as a son, as a child, to be with his only father. David Goldman.